Chapter 1: Wake Up to Your Potential. Let's be real for a moment. Most people today aren't even living at half their potential. Deep inside, every single one of us has enough power to completely change our lives, but that power slowly fades when we keep wasting it every day. We tell ourselves, "I'm just tired." But the truth is, we're not tired, we're unfulfilled. We scroll through endless feeds, compare our lives to others, start 10 things, and finish none. And when nothing changes, we ask, why does my life feel stuck? It's simple: potential doesn't vanish. It just fades away when you ignore it. So today, I want you to really listen. If any of what I'm about to say sounds like you, it's time to wake up before your potential turns into regret. The habit of starting but never finishing. You know that rush of excitement when you start something new, a project, a workout plan, a goal? For a few days, you're unstoppable. You feel like this is your moment. You even tell your friends, "New chapter begins." But then, just as quickly, that energy disappears. You join a gym, 1 week you're posting mirror selfies, 2 weeks later, you're posting excuses. You buy a book, read 10 pages, highlight quotes, say, "This book changed my life," and never open it again. You fall in love with the idea of success, but not the process that builds it. This isn't a motivation problem, it's a discipline problem. Motivation is what gets you started, but discipline is what keeps you going when it gets boring, repetitive, or tough. Everyone wants the thrill of beginning something new, but very few people stay when it stops being exciting. You start learning guitar and picture yourself performing on stage, but when your fingers start hurting, you quit. You upload your first YouTube video, it flops, and you think, maybe this isn't for me. But the truth is, the world doesn't reward starters, it rewards finishers. No one remembers who began the race, they remember who crossed the finish line. Even your stress, half of it comes from unfinished things, half-written plans, half-done projects, half-kept promises. You wake up feeling heavy not because life is unfair, but because your mind is carrying the weight of things you never completed. When Elon Musk's rockets exploded, he didn't stop. When Cristiano Ronaldo lost games, he didn't quit training. The difference between them and most people isn't talent, it's consistency. They finish. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop being the person who's planning something big. Start being the person who says, "I did it." Because the day you learn to finish what you start, that's the day your real potential begins to rise. The illusion of rest. Let's talk about another trap: wasting hours and calling it rest. You say, "I just need 5 minutes to relax." Suddenly it's 2 hours later, and you're still scrolling through videos of people cooking food you'll never make. You say, "I'm resting." No, you're not. You're resting from a rest. Your body isn't tired, your discipline is. You tell yourself you're relaxing, but deep down you know you're avoiding something. Avoiding effort. Avoiding change. Avoiding that small voice inside that says, you should be doing more. Here's the truth: real rest recharges you. Fake rest drains you. That's why you can lie in bed all day and still feel exhausted. Because your mind hasn't rested, it's been drowning in noise. When your phone battery hits 10%, you rush to plug it in. But when your own energy hits 10%, you open Instagram. How does that make sense? Rest should restore your focus, not destroy it. Successful people rest too, but their rest has direction. They read, they walk, they think. They recharge after effort, not instead of it. So next time you say, "I'm resting," ask yourself, am I recharging my energy or running away from my potential? You don't need more sleep. You need more purpose. Because when you have purpose, even your rest becomes meaningful. Busy or just distracted? And here's one more sign: you confuse being busy with being productive. You know those people who say, "I've been so busy, I haven't had a second to breathe." But when you ask what they've actually done, it's a list of small things: checking emails, organizing notes, replying to messages. That's not progress. That's motion without direction. You're running on a treadmill, lots of movement, zero distance. You open 10 tabs, make a to-do list that could be a novel, then spend the day organizing instead of executing. Being busy feels satisfying because it makes you look productive, but it doesn't move your life forward. Progress isn't about how much you do, it's about doing what matters. You can dig all day in the wrong place and still find no gold. Some people confuse exhaustion with achievement. They say, "I'm so tired, I must have worked hard." No, you might just be tired from avoiding the real work. Stop chasing activity. Start chasing results. Because in the end, the only thing that separates people who live up to their potential from those who don't is focus. Do less, but finish what matters. Chapter 2: Breaking the Barriers Within. Let me tell you something most people never realize. The biggest walls that block your success aren't built by the world, they're built inside your own mind. You can have the best ideas, the right tools, even supportive people, but if your inner voice keeps saying, "I can't," then nothing outside will ever change. We talk a lot about potential, but potential means nothing if your self-doubt is louder than your belief. And for many, that's exactly what's happening. You get an idea, your heart races, you feel that spark, but before you even take the first step, you talk yourself out of it. What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? You haven't even started, and you're already planning your own defeat. The slow poison of doubt. I once met a young man, brilliant and creative, but he couldn't move forward because every thought he had was followed by fear. He kept saying, "What if I'm not ready?" And I told him the truth, you'll never be ready. Confidence doesn't come before you act, it comes after you act. You build confidence by doing, not by overthinking. Self-doubt doesn't destroy your dreams overnight, it kills them slowly, one hesitation at a time. It makes you believe being safe is being smart. You say you're just being realistic, but really, you're just afraid and trying to sound logical about it. Think about every world-changing idea, from the light bulb to the smartphone. Almost all of them sounded ridiculous at first. If Steve Jobs had listened to critics, we'd still be dialing numbers on brick phones. If Walt Disney had listened to doubters, Mickey Mouse would still be a doodle in a notebook. So stop waiting for the feeling of certainty. Nobody starts confident, they become confident because they keep showing up despite the fear. Every time you move forward, that voice of doubt gets weaker. But if you keep waiting for the day you feel ready, that day never comes. You can't win a race you never run. And you can't believe in your potential if you never test it. So stop letting fear make your decisions. For once, bet on yourself, not because you're sure, but because you're done living half alive. The prison of other people's opinions. Now, let's talk about another silent killer of potential, caring too much about what others think. You'd be amazed how many dreams have died because someone was too scared of being judged. You want to post something, but stop yourself, what if they laugh? You want to start your business, but hesitate, what if nobody supports me? You want to wear something different, but you don't because you're scared of how people will look at you. You're living your life like it's a group project, trying to get everyone's approval before you turn it in. But here's the truth, people will always talk. Whether you win or fail, they'll have something to say. If you do good, they'll say you're showing off. If you do bad, they'll say you're lazy. And if you do nothing, they'll still gossip, because talking is free. So why live for people who aren't living your life? Their opinions don't pay your bills, don't build your dreams, and don't feel your pain. Some of you care so much about being liked that you've forgotten how to be yourself. The moment you stop chasing approval is the moment you become free. Because when you no longer need permission to be you, that's when your real life begins. Don't let people who quit on their dreams decide how far you'll go with yours. Their judgment fades, but your regret won't. The trap of waiting for motivation. Then there's the waiting game, sitting around hoping to feel motivated. You wake up, scroll through your phone, and tell yourself, "I'll start when I feel inspired." But that feeling rarely comes. Motivation isn't a spark that shows up first, it's the result of movement. Action comes before inspiration, not after it. Successful people don't wake up every day full of fire. They wake up tired, just like you, but they move anyway. They know the secret, momentum beats motivation. Think of pushing a car stuck in the mud. At first, it barely moves, but if you keep pushing, it starts rolling. That's how success works, it feels impossible until you move, then it becomes unstoppable. You say, I'll start when I'm ready. No one ever feels ready. The first step is always uncomfortable, the first day always awkward. But you can't reach day 10 if you never begin day 1. So next time you don't feel like doing it, tell yourself, just 5 minutes. Because once you start, you'll usually keep going for hours. That's the secret. The hardest part is starting, everything else is momentum. Stop waiting for the perfect mood. Start doing the work. Because one day you'll realize you didn't need motivation. You just needed to start moving. The energy you keep around you. And here's something people rarely think about: your circle. Energy is contagious. Sit with 5 lazy people, and you'll start yawning for no reason. Sit with 5 driven people, and you'll start thinking bigger without even trying. Some people drain you just by being around. You tell them your goals, and they immediately say, that's too hard. You tell them your plans, and they say, what if it fails? These are not supporters, they're energy thieves. Spend enough time with them, and you'll start believing their limits are your own. You talk about progress, they talk about gossip. You talk about dreams, they talk about people. Be careful, your environment shapes your mindset faster than you realize. You can't grow in toxic soil. You don't need a big crowd, even 2 positive, ambitious people can change your life. Because one conversation with the right person can lift you higher than 100 with the wrong ones. If you want to fly, you can't keep sitting with people who love the ground. Protect your energy. Surround yourself with those who see greatness in you even when you can't see it yourself. Chapter 3: Reclaim Your Fire. One of the saddest things in life is watching people with potential spend their time seeking approval from those doing less than them. You'd be surprised how many dreams die this way, not because they weren't possible, but because someone asked the wrong person for advice. You have a vision. You want to create something, build something, start something. But instead of learning from those who've done it, you ask for opinions from those who never tried. You say, I'm thinking about starting a business. And they say, bro, that's risky. Of course it's risky, that's why they never did it. Stop asking for permission to grow. Too often, we seek comfort in agreement. We go to people who will tell us what we want to hear, not what we need to hear. We ask for validation instead of direction. And sometimes, we even hide our success just to make others comfortable, pretending we're not doing as well as we are because we don't want to seem different. But here's the truth: you can't grow while you're trying to fit in. Dimming your light doesn't help anyone see better, it just makes your world darker. You don't need validation from anyone who's not walking your path. You don't need permission to evolve. Because the right people won't always agree with you, they'll challenge you. They'll expect more from you. And that's how you grow. So stop explaining your dreams to people who've already given up on theirs. You don't need their approval, you need their silence while you work. One day, the same people who doubted you will ask, how did you do it? And you'll smile, because you didn't waste your time waiting for applause. You just kept building. Remember who you were meant to be. Let's talk about something deeper: remembering who you were before the world told you to play it safe. When we were kids, our dreams were huge. We wanted to be astronauts, inventors, artists, heroes. Nobody said, I want to grow up tired and scrolling through my phone for hours. But somewhere along the way, we traded excitement for survival. You didn't plan to lose your spark, life just slowly took it. One failure, one heartbreak, one disappointment at a time. And then one day, you stopped dreaming and started just existing. People call that reality, but let's be honest, sometimes reality is just another word for giving up. I once found an old notebook from my childhood filled with wild goals. Looking at it reminded me, the dreams never died, I just buried them under bills, deadlines, and distractions. You used to have fire, now you have Wi-Fi. You used to imagine, now you scroll. But that version of you who believed anything was possible? They're still inside you. They're waiting for you to stop pretending it's too late. The truth is, it's not too late. It's only too late if you stop trying. Take a moment tonight. Close your eyes and ask yourself, what did I want to become before the world told me to be realistic? That answer, that's your truth. That's who you still are beneath all the noise. Don't let your younger self down. Because that kid wasn't naive, they were brave. You just stopped listening. It's never too late to start again. Now let's end with one of the most dangerous lies people tell themselves: it's too late for me. You hear people in their 20s or 30s say, I missed my chance. Missed what? You're not out of time, you're out of patience. Your phone battery lasts longer than most people's persistence. You failed a few times? Good. That means you tried. You lost some confidence? That means you cared. Every mistake, every delay, every disappointment, they weren't endings. They were lessons preparing you for what's next. Look around, success doesn't come with an age limit. Colonel Sanders started KFC in his 60s. Morgan Freeman got his big break in his 50s. Edison failed 1,000 times before one light bulb worked. You're not late, you're just warming up. People waste their lives rewriting their past instead of redesigning their future. Stop asking, what if I started earlier, and start saying, I'm starting now. You can't change what's behind you, but you can always change what's ahead. Every year you wait, you lose another year you could have built something great. So stop saying someday. Make today that day. Because the truth is, it's never too late to restart, but it's always too early to give up. Your story isn't over. Maybe you saw yourself in some of these patterns: the doubt, the distraction, the waiting. That's okay. Awareness is the beginning of change. You're not behind, you're just waking up. Your story isn't finished. It's just been paused. And your potential? It's not gone. It's been waiting patiently for you to show up again. So stand up, dust yourself off, and take that first real step, not tomorrow, not next week, now. Because the version of you that's been asleep for too long deserves a second chance. And when you look back one day, you'll realize the day you stopped waiting for permission was the day your real life began. Thank you for listening, and remember, your potential isn't something you find. It's something you decide to use.